So that covers the section on referrals. And then the last section I wanted to cover today, Guy, and this is so timely because it's everyone's running into pricing, discounting, negotiations much more so than they were this time last year, budgets being cut, and technology companies were almost the biggest buyers of technology from other tech companies.
Yeah,
so
now everybody do like a reassessment of their budget.
They've reassessed their budget, but if you think of so many tech companies are selling to other tech companies and suddenly all of them are clamming up, so it's just become much harder. And we know that they're all getting the CFOs on the case saying, no, you can do better, I'm not paying that. So just some pricing tips that I want to run through as well, which I think once you've got the social selling and the referrals, the final barrier could often be the pricing. So it's just some tips I want to share today that you can remove some of that friction and get something back as well as giving something away, which is key to my strategy around pricing and discounting. So in terms of pricing itself, I know a lot of early stage companies are listening in, watching. A lot of it, you've got to A/B test. I mean, so many companies that I've advised, their pricing doesn't change every 5 minutes, but it's very rare that your pricing as an early stage company is going to be the same in a year's time. Yes. So don't over perfect it. You've got to
definitely
go to the market.
Not at a pre-seed seed stage. Understand that, this goes to a different topic of how to qualify and how to discover, and how to put the first sales. But don't get too attached to the pricing levels that you put on the early days. They'll change.
They'll change, but also it's a great way to learn. Like you learn which parts of the pricing were attractive and which ones were scaring people off. Yeah. So it's all
if they didn't negotiate, it was too low.
Yeah.
And if it ran off the deal and didn't answer, maybe it was like out of line.
Precisely that. Exactly, guys. So around pricing, clear and transparent. So it's amazing how many companies have got these 7 or 8 different packages. And I was once in a strategy session with a client, and then it was around pricing. So before we sort of broke it up and start again or rebuilt it, they were meant to explain their pricing to me. And I'm kidding you not, Guy. I was there for like 30 minutes and I got out there, my head was whizzing, and I was like, I still don't understand your pricing. And if I don't understand it, and I've been here sitting there trying to understand it to help you guys, there's no way in hell your customers understand it. And one of the reasons you're losing deals is because they just don't understand it. You're creating unnecessary friction in the sales process.
Yeah.
So originally for your sort of seed early stage companies, you want that competitive customer feedback. You want to track the metrics, so like how quickly you can close a deal if you change it up by this percentage down, for example. You don't really want to discuss price until you've articulated the value. And I listened into a lot of sales calls, a lot of recordings, etc. And often people like pre-discovery, or you're like, well, I'm pretty busy. How much does this cost? And sometimes salespeople fold like a pack of cards, and they're already giving the pricing, and they don't even know what they're looking at. And it could sound like $50,000 could sound like a huge amount of money. But if you've seen the half-hour demo and seen that you can save $500,000, then
maybe you can ask for more.
But also it doesn't sound as bad as when the other way around, when you're just quoting it and haven't seen the value. So as a general strategy, wherever possible, and you stay in control of the conversation, don't give the pricing until you said, we'll cover that. I want to show you what you're getting first, and then we'll run through the various options. So it's a danger that a lot of salespeople do fall into that I'd recommend staying away from.
Yes.
But price is an amazing lever. You've got an amazing tool at your disposal for salespeople. You just got to know how to use it, when to use it, what the limits are. But if you've got some leeway on pricing, then it's brilliant. I mean, it's the way to unlock that final barrier in the sales process. So around that, there is a specific language around negotiation, and how do you build a negotiating toolkit, and also how do you give something away but get something back? There's too many what I call one-sided sales discounts. So if you sign by June the 30th, you get 30% off. And okay, great, I'll close that deal. Okay, I have to give 30% off, but I'll close that deal. What could you have got? I mean, maybe you could have done it for less. That's one thing, but what did you get back from the 30% discount? Never, ever give something away without getting something back in return.
So what should I have asked for?
Well, we're going to cover that. We're going to cover that now. Thanks for preempting. So what I recommend is you have almost 2 lists. You have your concession items. It's a good exercise for every company to do. It's going to vary, and I'm going to go through some examples that, and you can start to hopefully get tease it out of them as well. So things that they're happy to concede, subjects to say red lines or limits. So these are your concession items. So you're really like in diplomacy negotiations at this point. So these are your concession items, but there's also your wish list items as well. So there's going to be, what we'll cover now, there's going to be your wish lists that you want to get back and your concessions that you're prepared to give away. And you're not going to give away all of them. You're not going to give 30% off and pay next year and get double the amount of licenses. You're going to have to pick which ones are right for that client. And you're also going to want to get things in return that are going to help you grow your business. And we're going to get onto those now. Mm-hmm. But you've got to get into that mindset of concession wish list. So concession items, what types of things could you give away? And I'm thinking particularly about SaaS tech companies. So the obvious one is price. So it's normally $20,000 a year. We can do it for, say, $18,000 a year, 17, whatever the number is. If it's a type of technology that's got users, it doesn't really often cost if you've got 50 users or 60 users necessarily.
Yeah, I'll give you 5 in the price of 3.
I'll give you 5 the price. I haven't discounted the price. That's a great way to do it. I haven't really discounted. I'm still getting my $20,000, but I'm giving you 2 extra users as well. You could delay the payment dates as well. Often you get people saying it's the end of our budget year. Installment, it could be you normally would take an upfront payment for the year, but you say, okay, in this particular case, I'm not going to close the deal unless they pay quarterly or monthly. You've got to take a pragmatic point of view as well. The contract duration. So that's one I've played around with a lot, and it works very well, say, towards the end of a calendar year. So you can imagine you get to October 2023, you've been trying to close this enterprise account for ages, and they're just not budging. And what you say to them is, listen, good news for you. What we can do now is as you know, it's a 12-month contract, but the sooner you sign up, we're going to give you whatever's left of 2023 and all of 2024. So you can either sign on October the 15th and get 2.5 months, or you can sign on December the 31st. If you sign now, you're getting 2.5 months extra for the same price. It works really, really well. You can do it beginning, end of a quarter.
And again, we said for everything here that I give away, I can also ask for something back.
Yeah.
Which is what?
We're going to cover that now. We're going to cover now. These are the 2 lists. So you've got I know that these are my red line concession items. I'm not going to do all of these. I'm not going to discount, et cetera, but I know I can play around and I'll get a sense from the customer if the duration thing will work or if they really want extra users. And I'll look back in my discovery notes. And
then you say, okay, I heard you. I'm going to give you a price level or a few more users. And then what you're going to ask in return?
So then, or it could be a customization. That's the final thing as an example. Again, every company's going to drop their own list. So what are the wish list? These are typical wish list items, but each company is going to know, and it will depend on their stage and et cetera. So one of it could be a multi-year contract. So normally it's 1-year deal or 2-year deal, and you really want to show, you don't want any churn, and you're in your first 20, 30 customers. You want to show that, you've got 100% renewal, et cetera. One of the ways to do that is to lock them in for longer, or not to have to risk early customers when the product could be a bit shaky, there could be some bugs. Mm-hmm. So yes, I'm prepared to give you that price, but you're going to have to do a 5-year contract rather than a 3-year contract rather than a 1-year contract. Yeah. So you're locking in a longer commitment, which has got big benefits for the company. It could be agreeing an annual price escalation. We will discount it, Guy, to $8,000 for year 1, but clause 7, which I'm going to show you now, says that year 2, it goes back to the $10,000. So you're banking it. You're not going to get to that conversation where they just say, I've seen companies where someone paid $5,000 for the product in 2015. They're one of the original ones. Everyone else is paying like $30,000, and the company still, they were the first customer, still paying $5,000. That's crazy. So you can control some of that process as well. But one of the things that I really love is like testimonial references. Yeah.
You want to get a discount or extra users?
Yeah.
Give a testimonial on my website, on your,
Exactly, give a testimonial, do a press release. So the testimonial is going to take a while, maybe. It could be a pre-launching testimonial. It could be one you do in the first month, but we don't want to wait a year for a testimonial. It could be we do like a video one, which is a more dynamic one, but you've got to agree to do that. I would even write these in the contracts. I get companies I work with to write these in the contracts. So there's not like, oh, sorry, we're not going to give that testimonial. Company policy. It's here. It's clause number 7.2. So testimonials, references, press releases, referrals. That's a great time to ask referrals. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that for you. But can you give me 2 or 3 other names of other companies in the sort of fintech space that would benefit from this solution as well?
Yes.
That's a brilliant way to do it. So you're giving something away. You could be giving a $2,000 discount. you could be getting a $50,000 deal in return. So that's why it's so important to have these items. It could be that you want them to appear on a webinar, a podcast, they're high profile in the industry. You've got to be creative, and it could be, it depends on that stage of time in the company. If you're looking for referrals, you haven't got any yet, then it's a great thing. You go all in on that. And then there's the one that's tried and tested, and so a lot of people don't like it, but you can't argue with the stats, and it works. Saying, I can do that, but
you need to sign by the end of the month.
You've got to sign by the end of the month. You've got to sign by the month. And it's, again, written in the contract. This deal is only valid until July the 31st, 2023. August the 1st, this is the price. You can write in the contract, August the 1st, it goes up to that 30% extra. So, yeah, those are the examples of wish list items. And each company will go away, and it will depend at the point in time what those wish list items are. But never, ever, like I said before, ever, extra couple of evers, give away something without getting something in return.
Something back.
And you're giving them something, so why wouldn't they give something back in return? But it's amazing how many companies are missing the boat on these. And what I love about some of these things is, particularly in terms of the referrals and the case studies, you can get back a lot more than you gave away if you're asking for the right things in return.
Yeah.
And then just finally, negotiating itself has its own language, its own tone. So you want it to be casual as well. You don't want to be seen as like a market trader. Oh, another $10. Oh no, they're just another 100 meters away, and you're like running off them down the market. So you're trying to be collaborative here, which is anyway very important in the sales process. So hopefully you've established a rapport by the time you're getting to these pricing negotiations. And my own way of selling is to be very collaborative. I'm helping you buy. I'm not selling to you. So using things like, just suppose, like, what if I was able to get a 20% discount? Do you think you'd be able to, sign by the end of the month?
Just wondering.
Yeah. Would you be able to give a couple of names, like warm introductions? Would you be able to appear on our podcast, etc.? And then it's almost like, right, guy, if you do this, I will do this. It's almost like a contract in its own right.
Yes, but without saying it in this specific language.
Exactly. You're not using it as a thing. If you do this, I'll do this. Just suppose we can do this, etc. So you're keeping it in soft terms, and it really opens the way for a lot of these pricing negotiations. And I'd recommend that highly